we developed a game with the aid of the I-Ching. When I drew Hexagram 29 during the final stage of completion, I didn't take it seriously. Just another thing we did to make our work fun, like dressing up in medieval costumes and having play sword fights. I mean, we made Eldritch Dungeon last year with a freaking Ouija board. Little did I know that my flooding ravine prediction was about to come true. Madness Manors was a console game set in an old Gothic house. You play a cute little chick who runs around in a pinafore, chasing after ghosts, Ghostbusters style, except you trap them with a futuristic camera. Along the way, you've got to help a bounty hunter kill a space vampire. There's a head in a glass box, whose body is outside killing people. You marry a wolfman cursed by a gypsy with a missing hand. Help little hairy alien monsters get on Shark Tank. Let's just say there's a lot going on. The renderings looked so realistic you'd swear we'd taken photographs. Drawing room with antique furniture and immense fireplace. Gold-framed picture of blonde witch Magda Chandler in her ball gown. Blue eyes that followed you around the room. Essence room. Bedrooms with detailed tapestries and overstuffed quilt adorned 4 posters. Old candelabras, of course, could be found everywhere. Anyway, it was midnight when I got done coding the finishing touches. In the morning, there would be final beta tests, and someone would take over packaging and distribution. But at present, no one but me in this dark, candlelit computer room, surrounded by suitably spooky decorations, and, of course, the I-Ching. I was even dressed for the occasion, old-timey suit, just like the one my space vamp wears, sans greatcoat, because it was too warm. About 2 in the morning, I felt an icy chill run down my back. A cold breeze whipped through the room, puffing out the candles and scattering my I-Ching sticks all over the floor. Hexagram 29 again, on top. Funny thing is, the room had 0 ventilation. One time, our art guy, Joe Tobias, burned a bag of popcorn in the microwave, and the smell wouldn't leave for a week, even with a fan and the door propped open. The second item that made me want to shit myself, my computer had apparently died, but the power light kept flickering in a Morse code pattern identical to the ghost lights I had programmed into the game. I didn't need a decoder card to translate. Welcome to hell. And then, on the darkened screen, I saw Magda in the velvet-curtained S-Once room, giving me a nasty look as she uttered incantations over a voodoo doll that looked like me. I noticed now, in the dim light radiating from the monitor, that the fallen I-Ching sticks were moving, circling my chair, plowing through Doritos crumbs, bumping aside a discarded pizza box. The sticks rose into the air, increasing speed, whirling around me. I saw the faces of my digital ghosts. I knew we shouldn't have played with that Ouija board on our last game. At some point, my heart stopped, and I felt myself drifting out of my body, an otherworldly force sucking me, vacuum cleaner, like into the screen. The woman let out a mad, barking laugh, and I heard the sounds of that creepy music box that always plays in the background of the game's ghost battles. I can guess what you're thinking, but I did not wake up on my computer lab's dirty soda-stained carpet. Instead, I found myself laid out on the lawn of a sprawling New England Victorian. And I had breasts. I touched them to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Soft, springy, definitely not Joe Tobias's man boobs. I looked down, and pieces started fitting together. I wore a pinafore. The mansion, and in the distance, the old house, the nearby tree line, probably leading to the oceanside cliff where Angelica Chandler took her swan dive to the rocks below. Joe really enjoyed rendering that scene where she got her eyes picked out by seagulls. Oh my God, I groaned. I'm Vicky Summers. I covered my mouth in horror. Even my voice had changed. gaining that annoying chipmunk sound provided by our so-called actress Roberta Wilson, soon to be Roberta Tobias. Guess that's what I get for cutting back on the energy drinks. I knew I hadn't fallen asleep though, because I was cold and wet. Could it be a sunny day? Oh no. In true Gothic style, it always had to be monsoon season outside, lightning crashing every minute, tree branches so violent they should have broken all the dormer and casement windows. But I'd programmed it so even a bomb couldn't get you inside unless you solved all the puzzles. My predicament would be, no pun intended, wet dream for some people. But as a developer, you only see coding mistakes, parts that don't work because you rushed to meet a deadline. I guess I should have been thankful I didn't land in a game where things are trying to kill you every second, and I knew how to solve all the puzzles. Well, I thought I did. Step 1. March past Angel Fountain on Circle Drive and steal package containing parts for Julia Whittaker's spirit camera and associated uncancelled stamps. A shipping container did lay on the white front steps past the inoperative fountain, as expected. The big solid oak doors were shut, but I saw nobody peering through the mullioned windows, so the coast was clear. I never really thought about where Vicky put the things she picked up, but it turned out I had a large purse. The package would fit, not so sure about the shovel I'd have to use later to dig up Mephibosheth's vacant coffin. The interior of the purse did not extend to infinity like a cartoon. I hit a liner at the 15-inch mark. Feeling confident that I had it all figured out, I got a little cocky, using Roberta's voice to say all kinds of dirty things. "Oh, Joe, your huge fat belly is like a firm, warm waterbed. I just want to bounce on it while." I had to stop myself because my new female body actually got turned on by all that. "Homie, you need to spend less time in front of the computer." Step 2. Fish front door key out of planter next to door. I knelt down, examined the dirt, but came up with nothing. Even when I dug around with my fingers and turned the pot upside down, I only uncovered a root system and bugs. I dumped out the matching one and the opposite side. Still nothing. And then reality took another rotisserie-like spin as those massive doors with the decorative square panels swung open unexpectedly. A bony, bird-faced woman with horn-rimmed glasses and a tight old-style nurse's outfit marched out, jangling a set of keys. Looking for this? I shivered. The damn video game appeared to be reading my mind. My German Shepherd got loose, and he knocked over your plants. I'm really sorry, Miss Whittaker. Her eyes narrowed. Did he also stick my mail in your purse? And then a hard, predatory look appeared on her face. How do you know my name? I saw it on the package. I tried to stand up, but the second I made the attempt, she stabbed me with a needle, and everything got all swimmy, my arms and legs refusing to function. My hazy vision registered the Chandler's extravagant front foyer, spiral staircase, stained glass windows on the second-floor landing. Whittaker muttered something to a greatcoat-wearing figure, then moved a gargoyle, opening a hidden door beneath the stairs. I got dragged past the furnace, circuit breakers, the regulator for the secret nuclear power plant. Then she threw me into a shadowy brick dungeon. "It's too bad you're a girl," she said with a laugh. "We would have had some real fun." With that, she slammed the steel door, locking me in the dark with rats and a human skeleton. Not supposed to happen. Not how I programmed it. There was a loose brick 10 feet from the door, which could have potentially popped the lock, but I needed my hairy boyfriend to hold the brick down while I made my escape. In other words, I was screwed. Tobias, Roberta, Steve, Mr. Nishikado, whoever's at the computer right now, please don't touch the power. Do not restart it. Leave everything the way you saw it. I'm still in here. I'm going to get out, somehow. Please, by everything that is holy, do not touch the power. Story 2. Guarded. Amaya knew the famous quote that had been regurgitated on all forms of social media. The fall is about to teach us about how beautiful it is to let things go. If only she had taken that a little more to heart, then maybe she wouldn't be in the situation she was in now. The young woman thought it was going to be wonderful to move to some small town in Oregon. The barely on the map community was bound to be a great place to get away and start on her novel. The quaint abode that she was renting felt more homely than her actual childhood home in Denver. Crisp, autumnal wind nipped at her skin as she moved the last of the boxes into her new home. Amaya stopped to take a breath, feeling accomplished after moving completely by herself. Sure, the house was next to empty, not a piece of furniture to adorn the place, but she was determined to make this place her home. As she was unpacking her kitchen utensils, she heard the familiar ding of her cell phone, alerting her that she had an incoming text. "We will be over in 10 minutes with the bed and armchair," her landlord informed. Amaya didn't know much about the family that she was renting from, only that they lived a couple of miles up the road. She knew there were a wife and husband, to her knowledge. The older pair didn't have any kids. From the phone call, she estimated the wife, Joanne, to be in her late 50s. She was young enough to understand how to text, but old enough for her voice to sound weathered on the phone. The writer tried her best to tidy up the place before the Lawsons arrived. She placed one last spoon in the drawer as she heard a soft knock at the door. When she opened the door, her suspicions were confirmed. The couple was indeed in their 50s or 60s. Joanne stood at about 5'6", and her long silver hair was braided and laid neatly on her shoulder. Harry was much taller, towering over his wife. His expression wasn't very kind, and his eyes were hardened, almost like he didn't want to be there. Joanne smiled softly at the young girl and gestured to the inside of the cottage. "I see you have all your boxes moved in. Harry can start carrying in the pieces of the bed and assembling it for you." Amaya smiled and nodded softly, unsure of what to say to the Lawsons. She wasn't very big on social interaction, hence her desire to be a writer. If she could stay tucked away from everyone and write out her feelings, then Amaya would be fine. She moved out of the way as Harry marched away to grab the pieces of the bed. Amaya made conversation with the much older lady as her husband carried in the bed and assembled it in the single bedroom. It wasn't until they heard Harry's gruff voice yell for Joanne from the bedroom that a comfortable silence fell on the house. The wife rushed off to the bedroom to aid her husband. At least, that's what Amaya Ruggers thought. She could hear soft whispers coming from the bedroom, and being the curious girl she was, she went to go listen in. "Harry, she just moved in. We could just not say anything. We should just leave her alone. She seems nice." Joanne's voice no longer held any kindness. Her words dripped with venom as she scolded her husband. "I understand, Joe, but that itch is back. I have to do it, now." Amaya stepped out from behind the wall. "Is there something I could help you with? You guys have been so kind to me. It's the least I could do." Joanne's eyes softened, holding a gleam of pity for the young girl. Harry's eyes were a whole different story, the anger and evil radiating off of him. "No, dear, it's fine. Harry is just being silly," Joanne assured the girl. "Joanne, if she wants to help, I guess she can. Harry, please, I am begging you to leave this one alone." "Mr. and Mrs. Lawson, what is going on?" Amaya questioned, fear seeping into her. She truly knew, deep down, she didn't want to know what was transpiring between the two. "Dear, it's fine. Please, don't ask any more questions," Joanne almost pleaded with the writer. "Joanne, it's time." She's heard too much. You should have left well enough alone, young lady, Harry's sinister voice rang out. Amaya's breath caught in her throat. She was now certain she didn't want to know. I'm sorry, Amaya. I'm sure you would have been a great writer, the senior woman whispered. The girl's scream ripped through the air as she took off out of the bedroom. She could hear her heartbeat in her ears, while her feet carried her as quickly as they could out of the cottage and to the woods. Amaya had seen enough horror movies to know that it was a stupid idea to run away from civilization, but her adrenaline had other ideas. She could hear Harry approaching her quickly, his footsteps falling in line with her own. It was all starting to make sense to her. The red flags were all there. She just didn't connect the dots until it was too late. The ad was targeted towards young writers, the couple being so welcoming, and the offer to come to help her move in. They were all to set Amaya up to be killed by Mr. Lorson. Here she was, alone in the woods, running from her almost certain demise. She was so caught up in her thoughts, she didn't see the obstacle in front of her feet. Fall to the ground was slow and fast, time both slowing and speeding up at the same time. Amaya briefly paused to look at what she tripped over and was horrified at the sight. Underneath her was the half-decomposed body of what seemed to be another young woman. She couldn't tell completely because the girl's head was bashed in beyond recognition. She barely had time to get to her feet before the old man grabbed her by her hair and stood her up himself. She was a pretty little thing, just like you. I'm sure she had a bright future in front of her. It's really too bad she met the business end of my hammer before she could get there, Harry snarled in Amaya's ear. Amaya shivered, the evil nature of the man holding her seeping into her bones. Mr. Lorson threw the girl to the ground and raised the hammer above his head and smiled down at the girl, his eyes void of emotion. The last thing that Amaya saw before the impact was Joanne, crying behind Harry. I'm sorry, Amaya. He's just very sick in the head. Then everything was black.